So we had an interview with Mr. Perkins, now Daphne Caine for Garff as well. Coming from a slightly different angles between the two of you on this, aren't you? I mean, because he's got to do what, his minister wants, I think.
Well, no, I think that this was an important point of Tynwald principle and a protocol, and that says that you shouldn't have anything approved in Tynwald before that might preempt any other government decision, policy or planning. So I'm surprised it didn't get more support.
Yeah, it's really heavily defeated.
Yeah, but maybe people think it doesn't matter. I've made the point, it's out there in the open. It cannot be considered that Tynwald approving this report, which no doubt it will, can in any way influence the decision that IRBCs has already the support of Tynwald.
So just explain to people your concerns briefly, please.
I think listening to the community within Laxey, that there is a real concern that within a tourism amenity that the IRBCs may not be the best option. And in terms of the original concept that we would all be pumped away to join in with the IRIS scheme, so pumped through Laxey to Baldrine and onwards to Onken, and there is capacity to do that.
It's very expensive though from all accounts.
Well, they've done a matrix and a set of charges that says the initial cost would be around £8 million higher to build that, and that potentially there would be an ongoing lifetime cost of a similar amount over the other amount. In 50 to 80 years, that amount is tiny. And in terms of the impact on Laxey and in terms of its aspirations potentially to go for blue flag in the future, then these need to be debated. These are different aspects need to be pulled out. And the main thing about the site of the cairns opposite the harbour that's zoned for tourism use would require another bridge to be built. So how does that impact on flooding, for instance, and the site itself?
You accept that it's one of the few places now that's still pumping raw sewage into the sea.
It does need changing, but for the sake of several months' difference, why wouldn't you look at going for the best option rather than the quickest? And in terms of the other aspects of the cairn site, it's a tourist amenity. This one, unlike the Peel sewage IRBCs and Ramsey, they are pumped some considerable distance away from the tourist amenity, but in Laxey, it's going to be bang smack at the harbour with very steep-sided valley, which give rise to serious concerns over odour and odour control, requiring pumping out every day.
In question time, you asked about the odour situation. Were you happy with the answer?
Well, Minister Boot didn't know how many times his officers might have been required by local authorities to investigate odour issues on their behalf. So that was surprising, but hopefully will be circulated. And in terms of the impact, again, the chair of the Manx Utilities Authority gave some reassurance that the sort of latest system of odour control would be built in as standard at the time if IRBCs were built in Laxey.
As confirmed, he's going to start taking more tests around the Isle of Man. You're going to keep failing, aren't you, until something's done? Surely, if you keep pumping raw sewage.
I think it depends on certain tidal conditions and times of day.
It can't be good news for Laxey.
But you see, at the minute, they are talking about putting a planning application in for Laxey in January. Until they tackle Garwick outfall and the Baldrine situation, that outfall is going to impact on Laxey Bay anyway. So they have now said in this morning that it'll be an IRBC scheme for Baldrine as well as at Laxey. But we have no information on what is going to be provided at Baldrine or what their preliminary plans are, because the focus has all been from the MUA of getting the IRBCs applied for in Laxey. The fact they've delayed it until because of the flooding that we experienced in Laxey has been a little bit frustrating, because now we're wondering, well, how is the impact of Professor Curran's report, for instance, going to impact on anything this says, and also the independent review that is being undertaken of flooding, how will that be taken into account before this planning application goes forward? And
are you with the commissioners, because Mr Perkins doesn't quite
I think to dismiss it, I think they raise a very valid point, and as Tanya August Hansen made the point for council, this goes against the protocol of Tynwald. This is, instead of being asked to receive a report and approve the recommendation, we've been asked to approve an entire report that includes an appendix that presupposes that the IRBCs are going to achieve excellent standard in Laxey. That's the difficulty. Would have just been better if that appendix had not been in, or if it had been a report to be received. But to put it down and say Tynwald has now approved these IRBCs, I don't think is the most helpful thing. But I think I made the point, even if we didn't win the vote, that cannot be considered, and that in no way this is about bathing water standards and it has nothing to do with the planning.